Hello, this is lesson 1.6. It's on exponents. And our learning target is that we can simplify numerical expressions using exponents. It's pretty straightforward. Our word of the day is powers. Well, powers contain exponents and bases, so let's zoom in on this. The way that we say this is 4 to the third power. Okay? 4 is the base. 3 is the exponent. So this whole thing is a power, and we say it as 4 to the third power. You also can say it as 4 cubed, both ways. And the reason why it's a cubed is because there's 3 dimensions. Now, that's exponential form. When it's written as a base to an exponent, they call that exponential form. Well, expanded form is when you actually write out what it means, 4 to the third power. And 4 to the third power means 4 times 4 times 4. 3 times. 4 times itself 3 times. And then we have standard form over here, and standard form is just what is the answer to this question. What is 4 times 4 times 4? Well, 4 times 4 makes 16, and 16 times 4 makes 64. And that's how it works. This is the whole thing's a power. The base is 4 raised to the third power, which means 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 64. All right. So now number 1, 2, and 3, and 4, we want to write it in exponential form. And what that means is we want to turn this into a power with a base and an exponent. Well, the base is very simple. It is just the number 5 because you see it a bunch of times. So we're going to write 5. All right. Well, now we just count how many there are, and that's the exponent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is the same as 5 to the 7th power. So pretty straightforward. This one is negative 4 is the base because we have that's the number we see over and over again. And there's 3 of them. You must include the parentheses though. If you don't put the parentheses there, it's wrong. Because we want to protect that negative sign, the parentheses go around it. That is negative 4 to the third power. Number 3 is a little trickier because we have variable. Basically, you can't just combine the p's with the 8's and say there's 7. You have to do the 8's separate from the letter p, from the variable. Well, there's 4 8's, so that's 8 to the 4th power. Times, there's 3 p's, that means p to the third power. So it's kind of like 2 questions pushed together. And now we have number 4. Same kind of deal. You can't just say there's 5 things. You do this part right here is 5 to the third power because there's 3 5's. And the second part is x to the second power, so times x to the second power. And you can put a little time symbol in the middle if you want to, but pretty straightforward, writing things with an exponent and a base. You can't combine variables with regular numbers. Okay. Now number 1, 2, 3, and 4 down here, we want to simplify by writing in standard form. I'm picky. I don't just want to know that that's 81. I want you to go like this. 9 squared means 9 times 9. And then 9 times 9 is 81. Standard form is what I'm putting in my cloud around right now. It is the answer to the question. What is 9 to the second power equal to? We also can say that's 9 squared. You will hear me call it that. All right, 3 to the 4th power. We're going to expand this out. This means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, some of us are good at doing this and some of us aren't. I like to do it in parts, like I like to do this part and this part. Well, 3 times 3 makes 9, and 3 times 3 makes 9. Well, 9 times 9 is also 81, like in the first one. So 3 to the 4th power is equal to 3 times 3 times 3, which is equal to 81. 6 to the 1st power, well, 6 to the 1st power written in standard form is just 6. Well, done. There's just 1 6, kind of a tricky one. Really easy, almost so easy it's tricky. 6 to the 1st power is just 6. Now we have this one. And this one kind of confuses people forever. A lot of people think the answer is 0, but that's not true. what's happening here is you have to finish the pattern. Like I'll do 8, I'm gonna write a little pattern here. 8 squared is 64. 8 to the first power is 8. You see how you're dividing by 8? You go down. So to get 8 to the 0 power, you have to divide this by 8. Well, that's 1. So anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything, anything, anything. Okay? So when you guys ever see any number to the power of 0, you just write equals 1. No matter what. It could be 1,000,000 to the 0 power, it's a 1. It could be 6 to the 0 power, it's 1. Any number to the power of 0 is automatically 1. All right, next part. Okay, negative bases are trickier because you see how these two here look very similar. This says -7 to the second power, and so does this. The difference between this one and this one is this is actually the number -7 raised to the second power. This one is 7 to the second power with a negative out in front of it. And I'll write down the expanded form so you can see what it looks like. This means -7 times -7. And -7 times -7 is positive 49 because negative times negative equals positive. Okay? So that's really no different than what we've been doing above. It just has a negative that you're multiplying. Number 2 is different. This is the difference between the first one and the second one. We're going to split it up. And this means 7 times 7, but it's got a negative out front. Well, 7 times 7 is 49, and then that negative is going to come with it. So the answer to that one is -49. Now, some people try to make a rule. They go, oh, parentheses mean positive, no parentheses mean negative. That's not true. It has to do if the exponent is odd or even. So I'll do number 3. We have -2 to the third power. I'm going to split it up. This means -2 times -2 times -2. The reason why I included the parentheses on all 3 is because it's in the parentheses there. Well, -2 times -2, the first part, right here, that's positive 4. Now I'm going to multiply it by that -2 here. Well, positive 4 times -2 is -8. So just because it has parentheses doesn't mean it's going to be a positive number. Notice how this exponent is odd, and I got a negative. And then notice how this exponent was even, and I got a positive. That's the trick that you have to try to figure out. So that means -2 to the third power, which is -2 times -2 times -2. And that equals -8. This one, you actually should know right away that your answer is negative because that's out front. This means I'll start over. This means -2 times 2 times 2. And that's why it's automatically negative, because after you multiply 2 times 2 times 2, you're going to take the opposite of that. Well, this is 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, so that becomes -8 as well. So that's basically the main thing to get down, is that you have to understand the difference between the parentheses and no parentheses. This stuff up here you should actually already know. So you can do the IXL, and then you can do the worksheet too. If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, see you, bye.